Well, good morning, my friends. It is 11:45. I totally forgot that I was alone and had a little bit of time. I may not be able to throw this video out because if somebody comes home, I have to quit. For any of you guys who tune in and have not tuned in, and why the glasses? Well, whenever I use my iPad and I have it on a sideways view, the green light's way up here. And I can't keep looking like this. I can't make myself focus up there to look at it. So it's easier to do it like this, and it's a straight on deal. So one of the things that I learned, first, are you serious? 7.7, Taiwan. And first there were two 7.5s, then they upped it to a 7.7, and I don't know, I'll go to the app and see if I can show you. And it actually also leveled buildings and all of that and everything else. So, and the tsunami was relatively large. Okay, well, here it still says 7.4, and then there's many 5s and 1 6. Okay, then, and this is what's crazy about this whole thing. So, locally, where I used to live, somebody filmed this big streak through the sky, looked like it was blowing up, like a meteor. And it could have been. I find it very interesting because this is coming right when the comet is coming to be seen, and the eclipse is coming, and they're shooting these rockets up in space, and then this happens. Now, unless you follow it, which a lot of people that I know don't, they don't see this as anything. Oh, well, meteors explode every day, but like that in the sky to be seen? Sometimes, but not very often. And not at this point. You know what I mean? And then you have the other, which a lot of people don't get either, because, see, this is the deal. I already told you guys my religious beliefs are a lot different than some. I don't go to church, but it doesn't mean I don't believe some of the book. I said some. I didn't say all. I said some. But biblically, the third temple, the heifers, and all of that, that's there. And if that happens, that's biblical prophecy. Well, the thing is, if it isn't coming out on this big-ass TV out here to tell you that they're doing it, and they don't even say, oh, well, Bible believers believe this, then they don't believe what you're telling them. Believe me, both sides are involved in this. It's really hard to go into all of it, but, so first of all, and they have like 5 of these heifers, I think. Might have been 3, but I think it's 5. And they have to be unblemished, you know what I mean? It has to be solidly red, not a white hair, not a black hair, solidly red. Then, before they commence to build this third temple, which they're going to build, they're going to sacrifice this heifer as a symbolic gesture. Now, the rabbis that do it are going to be virgins and sacrifice too. They're going to be not guys that have never done it, okay? And they're going to be instructed on how and dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee. And then the ashes of the heifer are going to be on the ground where they build the temple. Okay. But when they do that, that's probably going to signify, and we're already in it, it doesn't even matter. But what they're going to signify with that is that World War III has pretty much commenced. Because the other side doesn't want that put there. And so it's going to be this clash back and forth. Jew, Muslim, whatever. Now, here's something, and it's funny because the Saudi crown prince is related, however distantly it is, to the Prophet Muhammad. And remember back in the old days, they used to say, oh, well, the Bible and the Quran are very close. Well, maybe, but there's a lot of things in the other that aren't in this. And who wants to be, like what woman wants to be a slave and wear coverings and do all that? And what religion says you can lie as long as it benefits yours? Okay? So, no, they're not the same. But I think this is the guy that I call the lawless one. It doesn't mean that he's the actual you know who, but he's part of it. Okay? Now, so they have to build this temple. So this shows you there's still time before a lot of things happen. So what I was trying to tell people yesterday, it doesn't mean that we're done tomorrow and that's it. It's too much prophecy got to happen. So when they build it, Dan, whoever it is, some guy laughed about it. It was online and laughed. Oh, yeah, right. But whatever it is, AI, a computer, a person, or whatever it is, will stand inside that temple. The card itself got it. I think it's supposed to burn down, I think. But anyway, the heifers is a very significant part of it. That's coming very soon. And this is with the comet, the eclipse, and all this other stuff that's going on. And this is happening at the same time. Excuse me, guys. No medicine. Just trying to get through it. There's nothing that can ever be done. It's a stage 2, and so far I haven't progressed beyond it. So that's good in that way. So there's still time for that. They got to build it. It's got to be. But that doesn't mean that all this treaty and penning and all this isn't going to happen in between. Okay? And I've already got my own idea. And there's a lot of people that think that there's this certain guy that's going to be this savior for here, which I doubt is going to be that way. And I really don't like either of these people, okay? But I think that somebody's going to dupe this person into doing something that looks good on paper. No pun. Paper. And when they do it, it'll look great. But every single person that's involved in this, no matter who it is, good or bad, has always supported a two-state solution. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter whether it's or, well, it doesn't matter. They all support it. When they do that, this harkens back to Jack Van Nippy, a guy I watched since I was a child. When the Golan Heights changes hands and goes back to Syria, that's when all the shit goes down. A lot of people think they're going to be raptured and be gone and flying away. And they're going to be very funny to find out that most of us are all still standing down here. Okay? Now, there's a lot of other things that are happening. Gil's on a lot of it. So is Mike. Mike from Around the World predicted that, not Iran, he said that Russia would probably be doing something towards Israel pretty soon. Well, Iran is. They've already said they would within the next day. But they are backed by Russia. So in a way, he was right. It's funny, too, because Mike and Gil are two different guys and they don't believe each other. Oh, that guy, I know who he is. And yep, the guy's always right. Gil's on it, too, though. He's pretty good. They're still looking for the comet. Again, COPD for you guys who don't understand what I'm doing while I'm coughing so much. So, all this has got to happen, okay? And I will tell you this. Just because the big box that you have in your living room or bedroom or whatever doesn't say any of all this, doesn't mean it isn't true. Okay? It just means that you study something different than others don't. I've been studying things before the internet, when the internet came along, when Google allowed you to look for things before they decided not to. You're also going to find out that a lot of fact check stuff turns out to be true. That's why they fact check it, because it is. But there are more channels here on YouTube that tell you the truth than the TV does. A lot of people believe that all this stuff with the Bible and everything else is going to be sitting there right there on that big TV telling you everything. No, it isn't. But I'll tell you this. Now, we got to stop and harken back, and that's 15 years ago. But 15 years ago, they were pumping these sand-colored vehicles through the whole United States to who knew where. Well, yesterday on Greg's channel, New York Prepper, showed these vehicles, 1,500 of them. Well, who knows, but whatever. Anyway, Iran said yesterday that within 48 hours they were going to hit Israel. We, however, only use drones and sanctions and all that. I also have trouble a little bit with these bridges, these barges. 3 in 3 days? One hit a bridge, took it out, trade be limited for quite a while. Excuse me. One happened in Arkansas. I think 2 of them hit each other. And one in Oklahoma, which is kind of interesting because that's exactly where they're going to have the National Guard and all this for the eclipse. Now, we're going to round this out, probably be a 20-minute video. The last time there was an eclipse like that, I don't know if there was a comet then, but there was an eclipse like that and some planet alignments like they're going to be. They're even saying they're all visible. They're all going to be visible at the same time, although they're saying that weather might not permit it. But when that happened, there was an earthquake on the New Madrid for you who live there. And it was about an 8-point something. And it was so big that the Mississippi River ran backwards for 10 minutes. This is what John Moore said on one of his old shows. If this happens again, the Mississippi River will run backwards for like 10 to 15 minutes because the shake will be so big. Okay? Now, the other thing is this. Again, I told you this. So, however many thousands of years ago, our rotation was 360 days around the big old orb for us. Something came in, latched onto us, and slowed us down. So now that orbit is no longer 360 days. It's 365 days. 5 days a year, times however many thousands of years. And now you know why it's all off. Okay? That's going by the old Sitchin 360, 3600, which is really more than that because it's added on to because of that. Now, on the Dreaded FB, I'm a moderator of a group that deals with that good old Planet X. All right? And this guy did not even say that I wasn't telling the truth because he knew he wasn't. So, 2000 and, God, when? 4? 5? I told you guys all about the story. About how I had given up back in those days, there were instant messengers instead of, Instagram Messenger or Facebook Messenger. It was different. AOL had its own little window, right? And so I gave that up. And one day I'm sitting there typing, and this guy from out of nowhere comes on and starts talking to me. And I know there was probably more to it. And I wouldn't do things like give up my phone number or this or that, whatever. And eventually, the guy sent me these pictures of it. I got rid of them when I dumped YouTube. These were those pictures that this guy on that group posted as his. Watermarked his name on them. Well, no, they're not yours, dude. And this guy that talked to me knew that old guy, Arizona, the Devil Planet guy. Excuse me. And it is funny because Arizona is where they have the big-ass telescope on Mount Graham called the Lucifer lens that looks for that thing out there. Well, anyway, I came into possession of them digitally, and I had them. I had 3 of them. Well, this guy posted these on our group and said they were his, and I told him they weren't. They weren't even mine, but they were sent from me to me from someone from a university, sent them to me, okay? They're real, they're legit, they're the real ones, okay? So, it's there. It's just not as, it's closer than you think, but farther out than you think. But it's on its way. Now, according to Gil, it's not a planet. It's a comet. That's why you see the old pictures of this big orange ball flying through the sky, and then these look like wings on it that are coming through. Because the whatever it is, the oxygen or whatever it is in space that hits that rock with the speed, makes the thing look like wings. It's kind of funny because it's a Horn comet, but they're not saying it's the comet. Because it's supposed to be red. A comet, I wish I could do this to you, but I don't see how I could, as a whatever. A comet was a coma as big as a planet. A comet with a coma as big as a planet. So, that's all the stuff I got to talk about today. Again, my basic thing on here is just being prepared. And that's for anything. Earthquake, flood, power outages, whatever it is. If you're prepared, you should be able to squeak by for a while. Depending. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, that's about all I have to say. But just because it's not on television doesn't mean it isn't true. TV is one of the most false things you can watch. Or people will be like, oh, it's going to be in the newspaper. No, it won't. No, it's not going to be. And they got people so dumbed down here that nobody believes anything. You can't find it because they got it all down. Oh, fear factor. I can't do that. Plus, stop and think about this. 2 to 3 days notice of any known object that might come down. Because it's all behind the sun. That's what they're saying. What are you going to do? You going to come out and tell somebody, oh, guess what? We just saw this big rock that's going to be here in 2 days. And it's going to hit right off the coast of California. And it's huge. And when it goes in the water, that might be all you, she wrote, or any of you guys that live by the coast. What do you think is going to happen with those 2 days' notice? Yep, people are going to flee. The freeways are going to be crowded. You're not going to be able to really motivate anywhere. You're going to be stuck where you're at. So you either believe it and get the heck out now, or wait till it's like that, and then you're going to get stuck. Unfortunately, I'm stuck because of the way it is. I try to do things to help people out, but I do realize that some of the things I do don't help anybody unless their belief is there. So, it's an old egg. Anyway, that's coming. The sacrifice of the heifer is coming. Believe it or not, it's going to happen. Prophecy-wise, it has to. Well, I guess I'm going to end it. You guys have a great day. Peace. I'll be seeing you. Excuse the coughing that went on in there. That's COPD. It's the way it is. Sometimes I don't do it much. Other times I do it a lot. See ya.